Good morning. Okay, so we do have quorum, Jared.
Any Chris Weekman?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, hi, Chris.
I'm sorry. I can see Chris.
Okay, is that it?
Yes, Dr. Bucky's not on yet. I don't know if she'll be joining us in a moment, but we have quorum, so we can start.
Excellent. So I will call the meeting. This is Jared, and I will call the meeting to order. Usually we review the public comment procedures, but given our virtual meeting, the only thing I need to say actually is to our members of the audience that we're grateful that they're here. And our normal procedure is to take each nomination up in the sequence that they are presented in the agenda. And Jenny Schofield is our master and leader, and we're so grateful for her help. So we need to approve the December 4 meeting minutes.
Jared, I just have some housekeeping first, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. Please proceed.
Okay, so just to let everybody know, we are still following the state regulations for remote meetings under the governor's executive order. So the meeting is being recorded and will be posted online for any public to view. And we just ask that because we're working through a digital meeting and some folks are calling in, that if you could just say your name before giving a comment when we get to that point, that would be helpful. If anybody has trouble on Teams, sometimes Teams might freeze or something like that, don't worry. You can just try coming back on the meeting, or if you have a lot of trouble, you can always use the call-in number. And I did put the meeting information link in the chat. And just for a reminder for the board that we need to do a roll call vote in this format. Okay, thank you, Jared.
Okay, we need a motion to accept the meeting minutes of the December 4 meeting. I'm looking for somebody to move it.
I do. It's
and
John.
a seconder.
This
A
is Chris,
seconder,
I'll
please.
second.
Okay.
This is Cecilia. I have a few clarifications for my statements.
Excellent. Proceed, Cissy.
Do you want each one of them? Okay. On page 5, line 4, it's John T. as in Thomas King, not C as the minutes state. Got that?
Okay.
And then bottom of page 6, the last paragraph, put feeble-minded in quotation.
Could you come to my office, please? Thank you.
And
hold on, if you're not talking right now, could you please mute?
Okay, last paragraph on page 6, put feeble-minded in quotation marks because that was the term used at the time. And so the line should read how, quote, feeble-minded, unquote, the students might be.
Okay.
Okay. And then further down that paragraph, I think, no, the last paragraph, I think on page 7, Dr. Bucky mentioned blah, blah, blah. It's, and I think what I said, it's an early flawed effort to categorize intellectual activity.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. Are there any other additions or modifications that are required? If not, let's have a roll call vote. I will vote in approval.
Okay. Phil?
Oops.
Phil Barlow?
Yes.
Cecilia? Dr. Bucky, we're asking for your vote on the minute.
Oh, you can't hear me?
We
I can
can.
now.
Ah.
Say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Stephanie?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Okay, that's everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. We will now move onto the action items, and we have come to the meeting with an agenda listing 4 of the items, but one of the items we will not take up for reasons of conflagration. But I think we should just proceed with the order, and first of all, to welcome our the members of the congregation Michigan Israel, welcome them as guests this morning. We're very pleased to have them with us. And I would like to ask a review board member to move this nomination.
I'll move it. This is Chris.
All right, and I'll second it. Cecilia?
Great. Moved and seconded. Then we can proceed. Are there any comments that any member of the audience would like to make at this time?
Tara, do you want me to introduce it first?
Oh, please.
This is Jenny. Okay. So Congregation Mishkan Israel is a mid-20th century synagogue designed by Fritz Nathan in 1960. The staff recommends it for listing at the local level under criterion A for social history. Members of the congregation organized protests and hosted social education events during the civil rights movement in the 1960s. It's also meeting criterion C for architecture for its modernist design. And it meets criteria consideration A since it is a religious property, deriving significance for other reasons. The period of significance is 1960 to 1970, which is the date of construction. Through the age cutoff, and we could adjust that to 1972. We could discuss that. We did.
Whoop. We've lost Jenny.
I'm sorry, hit a button. We did put a sentence in the nomination to explain that the period of significance could be reevaluated once we're 50 years from 1982, because that is the date that Rabbi Goldberg, who was helping to organize these events, retired. But for now, we're going to use the age cutoff. So the congregation initiated the nomination, and they are the owner of the property. The notice was sent to the congregation and also the town of Hamden Mayor and Historic Properties Commission. And Hamden is a certified local government, and their CLG response is in process. I've been talking to them about that. No letters were received in response, and we have several guests with us today. The consultants for the nomination are Dr. Leah Glazer and Emily Correa, and we have several members of the congregation. And whoever comments, I will just ask that you state your name first. Thank you.
Okay. Would any members of the audience like to comment at this time? If so, just identify yourself before you speak.
I would like to comment. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, just tell us who you are.
Yep. My name is Michael Dimmenstein, and I'm the congregation president. Serving as president for this 181-year-old congregation, which was originally established in a small apartment above a dry goods store on Grand Avenue in New Haven. Pleased to endorse this application for recognition of our current synagogue building at 785 Ridge Road in Hamden. In 1955, Congregation Mishkan Israel purchased the land to create a new modern spiritual home in the suburbs of Hamden. This splendid temple, designed in the modernist architectural style by Prince Nathan and Bertram Bassuk, with its interior of social realism mosaics by Ben Shahn and stained glass by Robert Pinard and Jean-Jacques Duval, are more than an edifice to house the oldest Jewish congregation in Connecticut. The building is a reflection of the human experience and the struggles for religious freedom and racial justice. We believe that it's our responsibility to preserve our congregation's history as a testament to our sacred heritage and our tradition of interfaith and multicultural relations. And we want to thank you for consideration of our application.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody in addition like to speak?
Yes.
If
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, I've never used Microsoft Teams before. I'm Rabbi Brian Immerman. I'm the current rabbi for Congregation Mishkan Israel. I've been serving Mishkan Israel for 3 years now, following Rabbi Herb Brockman, our Rabbi Emeritus, who served the congregation for 32 years. And it's an incredible honor to be in this position and to be before all of you. So I thank you for the work that you do, preserving these historic buildings. Michael gave, it's hard to follow Michael, what he just said, my beloved president. But to bring a little bit of Judaic into this, in Exodus we read that God commands us, Asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham, let them make for me a sacred dwelling place that I may dwell among them. And certainly anybody who enters Mishkan Israel's building feels that the sacredness of the building through the just through the beautiful architecture and the way that the ceiling flows and envelops you as though you're standing under a Jewish wedding canopy. The way that the walls both invite the light but allow us to see out into the greater community as we seek to both enrich our spiritual lives but also enrich the community as well. And every time I talk to any artists about our Ben Shahn mosaic, or the beautiful stained glass, or even the details of which prophets and how we chose some modern prophets going from Isaiah to Albert Einstein on our walls, and the significance of that for our congregation. We certainly feel that God's presence dwells among us when we are there in that space. The most painful part of COVID has, of course, been the fact that we have not been able to worship in our home, and we are just beginning to make plans to do so. And certainly the recognition of our building as being historically and architecturally significant is very important to our congregation. So I thank you for consideration of our building.
Thank you for your comments. Any other members of the audience like to comment? If not, I'd like to ask the review board members to make their comments known. So fire away.
Sure. This is Jenny. I just forgot to mention that a photo key will be provided for this nomination. I did not require it to be due by the deadline that I had to mail it out to you. And also the authors are currently working on some of the typos that they've caught afterwards, but I don't allow any changes once it's posted publicly. So those things are being worked on and will be addressed in the next round of edits.
Thank you. Review board comments, please.
This is Mark McMillan. I wanted to say I very much appreciated reading the nomination, learning a little about the history, of the congregation and the building in particular. My only comments, aside from that I support the nomination under A and C, was a general question to the board. I thought, particularly as the authors developed the criterion A and the social history, that Rabbi Goldberg emerged as an important figure and driver in these social changes and in how the shape of took place. General question to the would we support a criterion B level of significance, significance tied to a person of historic importance? I think the nomination stands on its own for A and C, but I was just curious as I was reading that, because I believe the nomination does put forth a pretty good case for the person of Rabbi Goldberg, in addition to the other historic significance of this property. That's all.
Thank you. Other review board members' comments?
This is Phil Barlow.